Hello, today we will present an activity template for Promethean board that can serve a variety of purposes when teaching a foreign language. The most recent guidelines in second language acquisition advocate the utilization of inductive strategy through learners' direct involvement in the teaching process and class participation. So this is what Promethean boards have been designed to foster, thanks to the touching capability of the screen and the possibility that we have to move objects around. Additionally, the ability to organize the object of a presentation into layers in software programs such as Smartboard Notebook permits to set up self-evaluation mechanism in a slide, allowing to encourage students' autonomy. The present slide can be used as a template to learn how to set up such system. In this slide, how to spot French people in the street, the purpose of the activity is to name different features of a stereotyped character that can make him recognizable among others. Here, the communicative objective is to describe a person using appropriate grammatical structures such as il a or il porte and vocabulary as a description depend on the designation of specific physical features, more particularly clauses or accessories, the first step in the learning process will consist in naming the object that we want to highlight. We can have students involved in a collective brainstorming to find a suitable vocabulary for each of the elements that are linked to the dashed circles. Then, a student can assess the accuracy of each response by revealing the text in each circle thanks to this magnifying glass that it can move around. And as you can see, we can see the answers into the circle. When such mechanism of self-evaluation is set, more emulation is created among the students, and they also develop self-assessment strategy which are critical in the native environment of the target language. So to understand better how this works, we need to represent this slide as a layering of different elements stacked on the top of each other. And more precisely, there is a green background and a text of the same color, making it possible to distinguish the one from the other. Only the intercalation of an object of a different color, here's a magnifying glass, between these two layers allow to read the text by creating a contrastive effect. So to create this template, the first steps consist in changing the background color from white to whichever color we want to choose. And to do that, we must click on the fourth thumbnail on the left and check the solid fill option. And then I'm going to choose among the colors that are available the green background that I want to set up. The following step will be to insert a picture from the computer or directly from the internet. And to this end, using Google Pictures can be very useful. So I'm going to put this aside like that. Because we can select a specific keyword and specify the type of usage rights we want in order to agree or comply with copyright regulations. So I'm not going to do it here because this is a pedagogical material, and in this case we benefit from the fair use status, but if you really want to have some free of right pictures, you can visit the Pixabay website, where you have a lot of different public domain pictures. You have also free pixels or Wikimedia Commons. So, and other website that probably I don't know. So to get back to our document, so here I have that pictures that I can save if I want to. So it's possible to save then actually to import that pictures using the option Insert Pictures. Another possibility consists just in dragging that picture directly into the windows of the smart notebook software. So maybe I'm going to change actually the view of this, right, like this. One interesting functionality of the notebook software program is to allow adding transparency to any imported pictures, and which may be very useful in our case. So to do that, we just need to right-click on the pictures and select the option Set Image Transparency. Then I will click on unwanted areas that I want to erase and to remove from that pictures in order to make it transparent. And here we go. The following step in this process will consist in add or draw dashed circle and then add arrow-headed lines. So we can do that by clicking on the tool icons at the top of the window, which is located right here. Sometimes you can have it at the bottom. It just depends how you set up the windows of the notebook software. So I preferred it on the top. So I'm clicking on the shapes icon and I'm going to draw a circle. Then selecting the pointer tool, which is really important in that case, I'm going to maybe change the size of my circle. And I'm going to click on the same thumbnail that I have used earlier in order to modify the properties of the object, such as the type of line I want to design. So here will be dashed lines. And finally, in order to avoid repeating the same steps again and again, I'm going to click on the small arrow located at the top right corner of the selection area and choose clone. I'm going to clone it twice and place the circles where I want them to be in this presentation. After we have placed our circle on the canvas, the same step will apply for the designing of the arrow. So this time by clicking on the lines icon, selecting the arrows and then drawing arrows. So one to highlight the French little guy hat. I'm going to change the properties of that object again. I'm going to click on line style and choose red in order to make it more visible. And then I can duplicate that object twice in order to use it for the other circles. So here I want to point directly to the bread of our French little man, and here to the striped sweater. Maybe I need to flip this object because the arrow is directed to the wrong side. Here we go. And voila. We are now going to look for the magnifying glass, and maybe this time I'm going to revert to a different type of view. And to look for this magnifying glass, I will look in the gallery, which is integrated in the notebook software, and that we can access by clicking on the second thumbnail on the left, this one. We just need to look in that search box. So I'm going to look for magnifying and select the pictures, options, and just need to drag that object on into the window. I'm going to resize this object to match the dimension of my circles. Here we go. And as you can see, it's quite difficult actually to, fit all of that in that slide. So I just can move all this object up. To do this, I just need to hold the click down, select all the elements of the page, and now you can see that they are all selected, and move them upward. We also need to add a label that can be found by tapping price tag. I want to add a label to give an instruction to the students and to tell them that they need to move that magnifying glass around in order to look for the answers. So I'm just going to do the same thing as I did before, typing price tag in search box. And I'm going to have this result. Same thing, I'm going to drag this into the window. I'm going to resize it. I can move it around a little bit. So you see, the page is going to resize if I move, the tag down. It's going to be automatic, which gave me some room actually to work better. And as you can see, my tag is on the top of the magnifying glass. I don't want this. I want it to be below to give the impression that it is attached to the magnifying glass. So to do this, my tag is already selected. I can click on the arrow. This time it's located in the bottom left corner, and I'm going to select the order option and send to back. And as you can see now, we have the impression that the tag is kind of tied to the magnifying glass. Okay, now that this tag has been placed, I just want to add the text déplace-moi, which means in French, move me, in order to prompt students to move the magnifying glass around. So to add some text, I need to click on this icon, this text icon, which is on the top in the toolbox. And then I just click anywhere on the screen and add the text. That I can resize to the dimension of the tag. And I can even turn a little bit. Oh, and since I want also all of this moved together, I need actually to have them grouped. So to group different items on the page, I just need to select them, same way I did before. Click again on this little arrow to select the group option. And here we go. This time I have my magnifying glass, the label, and the text grouped together. So now I'm going to add the words corresponding to the features we want to highlight in this presentation. So the same process that we did before apply. I'm going to add some text. Béret in one case. So I'm just going to resize that. Baguette. and chandail à rayures, which is a proper denomination for striped sweater. Also, it's not very used, but we still use chandail sometimes. All right, here we go. Now, a very important step will consist in the layering of the different elements of the slide, and we must keep in mind that the main pictures needs to be below and the text contained in the circles on the top, so that the magnifying glass can come on the top of our Frenchman, but between the background and the designation of our highlighted features. So to do that, each object needs to be selected with the pointer tool, just like this. And in order to access the menu of each object properties, and same thing that I did before, so I need to make sure. So I'm going to click on that little arrow and select the orders. So here I have two options. Bring to front and bring forward, because the object is already considered in the back. So I'm just going to check actually how this looks like. And as you can see, my magnifying glass is not set up the way it should be, because I just want to be on the top of my main pictures, but below the designation. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to send that pictures in the back. So I'm selecting this. I can right click, or I can use that arrow to prompt the menu, and I'm selecting the order, and I'm setting these pictures to the back. And as you can see now, magnifying glass is on the top. So I want also the circles to be in the back, because I want the magnifying glass to pass between the word and the circle. So to do this, I'm going to select my circles, and I can select several of them by clicking on Control and hold the click down. Click each, one of the circles. I'm clicking on the menu, and once again, I'm going to select Order and Send to Back. And as you can see now, it's properly set up. Once that we have set up the layering of the page, we can now change the color of the text contained in the three circles by clicking on the thumbnail that we have used in earlier steps. So same thing that I did before. I'm going to select the text box, hold Control down, and click on the other text boxes, sorry. And I'm going to select the same text then I have used, same colors that I have used. And as you can see, the text is disappearing, but it can reappear, can be revealed if I'm using the magnifying glass. The ultimate step consists in securing our elements, as we don't want them to be moved by students as they interact with the screen. So we are going to select the whole area the same way as we did before, except the magnifying glass. I'm going to click on the object properties that I'm going to lock in place. And now you can see there is no way for me to move this object around. They are stuck on the slides. I still can move this. I also can change the aspect of it, which I don't want to, because I want to keep the same dimensions as the circles. So what I'm going to do is to go through the same process. Clicking on the menu, lock and select the option allow to move, which means that the object is going to be locked, the dimensions are going to be locked, but it will still be movable, as you see.